Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Dice Masters with James and Zach. And we have new stuff. Sorry, I'm Zach.
Yay! And I'm James. Hello.
Got too excited there.
Like a small child.
Oh my gosh. Release day was yesterday, but I was not home with my computer. And so here I am in front of my computer with my buddy James. Hello, James.
Hello.
And so I have managed to pick up some new things. In fact, today I went to my local game store and got a second copy of the Kree Invasion because I bought Kree Invasion from a different game store. So I have even more things to do. But anyway, I know that a lot of this stuff has been spoiled. Well, all of it has been spoiled at this point. But I thought it'd be kind of interesting to see what it looks like all together in one place because that hasn't happened until release day, basically. I also kind of wanted to see if everything fit nicely in the campaign box, but I'll probably end up putting it in Zen bins anyway. We'll see what happens. And then I thought James and I would go through a couple of fun ideas that we had for teams using some of the new stuff. So we're not going to go over every single card because for one thing, they're all in the team builder with pictures at this point. But also you should check out some of the videos, like DM Armada's video in which me and many other people gave our top fives, and that was pretty fun to do. I think we will spend a little bit more time going over the Harley Quinn team pack, only because it didn't get a lot of love before release date, and it got spoiled by the Ministry of Dice guys, and then I don't think anything's really been said much about it since then. So we'll look at some of those cards, but we'll start by opening them.
Yay.
So
Zack has very kindly sat on this product for 24 hours or more.
Oh my gosh. They were sitting there in my room just taunting me. Yeah. I usually have to wait like 4 or 5 hours to record these kinds of videos when we have a release day, but this is usually a bit longer than normal.
I just have to wait 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah. All right. So there's the plastic off. Avengers Infinity.
Which is a quiz question, Mr. Quizmaster. Which basic action card features the same artwork as the Avengers Infinity box?
It's teamwork, isn't it?
It's not. No, that's an X-Men thing.
I know that it gave you everyone +1/+1 for like.
No, it is a teamwork related thing because it allows you to search your bag for
a team watch or something. Yeah,
affiliated die.
What was the name of the action? Oh, now
I think it's called. Do you know? I think it's called Assemble.
Oh, you're totally right. It is called Assemble. The game store that I got this at, Meeple's Games in Seattle. Shout out to them, by the way, for having good stock. Has a poster of that card up on the wall for the Dice Masters events. I should have probably known that. All right, so. I thought this was the size of the rule book when they spoiled this at Origins, but it's just a thing that has all the cards on it and then an ad on the back for the team packs. But I sort of was hoping we were going to get like a big flip through-y kind of rule book, but
yeah,
it is this side. It's a good rule book this time. If you haven't read it yet, it's downloaded and available. I don't know if it's on the WizKids website yet, but it will be soon. But it does a good job this time of going through a lot of the like potential hiccups that new players will have. And they've used like the rules forum as a like a go-to sort of, for what kinds of things come up a lot. I think it'll be good for new players.
So I've combed through it in preparation for our new how-to article and videos, which is coming out soon.
Oh, there you go. All right. So we do have one of these. I think all of the Turtles boxes and everything have had one of those as well. I know
think the first one didn't actually. So.
Oh, gotcha. I think Couriers did. I know Michael Ingledew spoiled these, but I always like to look at these bags. I don't want to use these bags, but I like the art on them. I wish there was like a better way to get the art somehow. And they did a cool job with the villains and heroes this time. So yeah.
I'm okay with paper bags. I don't mind them.
I don't like the corners. My bag has a round bottom, and I find myself losing dice in the corners when I don't have it.
Lovely.
I know how you like a round bottom there, James.
Yeah.
All right. We got very primary colors on the basic actions this time. Just red, blue, green, and yellow. No fancy cyan or purple or anything like that.
Somebody had green the other day, and I was asking where they got it from. Where was that from? Yeah. I don't often see green.
Several greens. I've got a green one right here. That's a little bit darker, but they try to do something different, I guess. But yeah, I think they are. They do look like they're a little bit sharp like the Superman Wonder Woman ones were. Okay, you got 16 sidekick dice enough for 2 players. Um, here are all the character dice. I'm not going to sort them out here on camera, but all jumbled here together. I kind of like this better than the like little individual bags that the Heroes in a Half Shell one had, where like each little tiny bag of 3 you had to kind of unwrap and everything. I think this will be a lot easier to go through. So.
And you ended up with useless baggies.
I mean, I have a box full of little bags that I save for future board game purchases, and then
I'm a big fan of baggies, but the ones that fitted 3 dice.
Oh, well, yeah, that's so great there. This is kind of a hefty stack of cards here. All right, so you got your color indicators, and then you've got all the character cards. It does feel, I mean, I'll say in my hands, like, you know, it definitely feels, you know, this is way more than a starter set.
Do you know what that amount of cards is technically called?
What's that?
It's called a wodge.
A wodge?
That's the technical name.
So like the collective noun for cards.
Yeah, it has to be of a certain proportion.
Oh,
a wodge of cards.
It is kind of nice. Like you get this kind of big heft of cards in your hand. You know, it's 3 cards per character, but it's more characters than we've normally had. I feel like it's got to be the same number of characters that Turtles had, right? Somehow this just feels more substantial than the Turtles set.
It looks more.
Yeah. I'll have to do some numbers now. Anyway, we have gone over the cards in our own video. Look at some of these globals here. And we'll talk about a couple of these cards when we talk about the combos that were coming up later. So, anyway, let's see. If we wanted to store everything in the box, we'd probably put something like that there. All right. So
another quiz question. Which, as far as I know, which OP card shares its artwork with a basic action from Avengers Infinity?
Which OP card shares its artwork? It's this one, right? Vibranium
That's
Shield.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
There was a full art Vibranium Shield, which was really pretty, and I managed to get it.
This does look substantially like the other time they printed Take Cover, where I'm pretty sure they're also dodging an explosion in that picture. And then this one is the Giant Man card art from Age of Ultron.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So there you go. All right.
Right. Go on.
Okay. Let's do. Should we do Justice Like Lightning? I haven't opened one of these team packs in a while. They're always kind of a pain. All right. There we go. Okay. Okay. Techno right there in the back, and then.
I like Techno. He's officially interesting.
Officially interesting.
Oh, and Ant-Man on the other side.
Oh yeah. It doesn't want to come out. There we go. Kind of clever how they got all these to sort of fit together in there, I must say. All right, I haven't gotten to see all these dice because the pictures weren't up. So it was like looking at all of all of them as text, but I wasn't actually getting to see what the art looked like or anything. So I don't actually know how all of these. I mean, some of them are reprints. Obviously, we've got the Ant-Man and we've got the Hawkeye. But Songbird is different actually, which is weird because in the set where they reused a bunch of dice molds, Songbird already existed, but they still did her die over again. So there you go. Does
it have the same stat? No, because it has different energy. It was shields before.
You're right. Yeah. So they totally changed Songbird all around. All right. So we've got.
What's the one that looks like Phoenix? Is it
this one? I think that's Meteorite. Yeah, there we go. And I like Meteorite. I was reading the text on her, but I hadn't seen any of the art or any of the dye or whatever for her. And these ones are the flip ones. Your opponent cannot attack with 2 or more character dice. I look forward to trying that one out. I may try that out in a golden event, see if anybody brings Bard, and I can maybe stop it. What was the other one that I liked? Oh yeah, this one. When another character flips, she gets to flip, and then on this side, when you flip a character card, she gets +1/+1, and if you have 3 active Thunderbolts, she gets Overcrush. So kind of like that Catwoman from the Batman set. You just flip a character card, She gets +1/+1, and then she gets built-in Overcrush as long as you have other Thunderbolts, which is pretty easy to do because there's a lot of Thunderbolt flip cards.
Does she get it for every flip, or
Just says when you flip a character card, Meteorite gets +1/+1.
so you could do the whole combo without Catwoman?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh,
So yeah, that'd be interesting to try out.
I have to confess that I have some mental confusion about flip cards. I find them, I don't know, maybe it's a combination of just having to look at things in the team builder because we don't have the product. But I just read through them all and it makes my head hurt. They're not consistent because each one is, some of them have flip, some of them don't have flip, although they have two sides. And some of them, if they're not active when you flip it, it flips back, and some of them don't. And I have trouble enough keeping track of one ability, let alone two, which is conditional upon some of the things and may or may not have a flip symbol. Sorry. Anyway.
Well, and even within the same character, right? Here's Techno. Two of his cards have the flip keyword. One of them has two sides, but doesn't have the flip keyword. He has a contingent ability that lets him flip. But that was, I mean, in Batman's set, like, I think Huntress's rare had a flip, but the other two rarities didn't have double-sided cards at all. So it's kind of up in the
Small
air.
confession, I never played flip cards in Batman either.
I think it was the Doubleverse podcast guys said something about how it was not necessarily a great set to draft if you'd never played Dice Masters before. And I think I agree that flip was kind of a mind-bendy kind of mechanic. Here's something I just noticed having these in my hand for the first time. If you look at Songbird, she's got the Villain and Thunderbolts affiliation, and that's fine. But if you look at Techno, he also has the Villain and Thunderbolts. I don't know if you can see this very well, but there's like an extra little thing, like they moved the Villain affiliation slightly, and then underneath it you can see what used to be there.
This is Zack, eye for detail.
No, I mean it's much easier to see when you've got them in front of you. But if you can look at the scanned cards on the team builder, I think you'll notice it there. You can see there's like something underneath the villain there, and it doesn't show up on any of the other ones. All the other villains are very clean, but somehow that one, I don't know. Check out the team builder. Let me know if you can see it as well. It's definitely there. Now it's gonna bug me because I like Techno, but his card is all screwed up. All right. Okay.
Things that bother people, numbers of dice, images behind images.
I think with Guardians of the Galaxy, I got a bunch of foil cards where the foil layer was like slightly off from the art, and so they had kind of this shadow effect on them.
Yeah, they did look a bit rubbish. But,
but I didn't have that on any of the like Deadpool cards or anything, so it was like new to that one. Okay, so here's my first of my. Here we go. Okay, of my Kree invasion team packs here.
You just casually slip that open without fanfare.
I'm getting more practice as we go. So we've got this new die for the Supreme Intelligence, and then we've got a redone Groot and a Drax. And then these ones are actually kind of hard to proxy, and I was trying it earlier, but the Kree Captain and the Kree Soldier. And then we've got that Thanos die, and then Wasp, and then we've got...
Wasp, that's not Wasp, that's Mantis.
That's right, yes. Thank you. So yeah, we've got a couple of Drax that you have that same sort of terrible fielding cost, but then they have cards that will let you field them for free. And these ones actually feel... So yeah, you probably noticed this before, but the team packs always have kind of thinner fielding cards, and the campaign box, they feel fine. But this one, I don't know, for some reason I didn't notice as much with the Thunderbolts pack, but these ones sort of feel a little bit thinner and more papery. I don't know. I noticed that with the Doctor Strange team pack when they did that. I think they can be continuing it, which is weird that they just have two different card types, right? Why not just keep it consistent? But, you got Groot. I'm really excited about this Kree Captain. I want to see this global work. I think we talked about it a lot in my video with DM Armada. I'm really excited about this Kree Soldier. I was trying to play a game where I was testing these out, but the stats on this one are sort of unnaturally low. You got 0/1/1 fielding, but only one attack on two of the faces. But they have other uses. Got another Mantis. We've got more Rocket Raccoons. We've got this Supreme Intelligence with Fabricate. Interesting to see Fabricate show up outside of the D&D sets.
Yeah.
What do you think about
Have
this?
you got have you got a combo for it? Because
Uh,
you want to fabricate your people with Kree in the title, if I remember.
yeah. I mean, this
So what
one
good does that do
you
you?
can gain life.
They're villains. Well, okay, yeah, directly you get that benefit, but there is there something else you can get from KO and Kree? They're all villains, are they?
Yeah, I mean, there's only two Kree, right? There's Kree Captain and Kree Soldier.
All right.
And I think I was
Well,
looking it up, and there's like some that have Kree in the subtitle, but I don't think that counts for Supreme Intelligence. So with Supreme Intelligence, at the moment, the only way to fabricate
so it's
for it is to play with Kree Captain or Kree Soldier.
so it's Black Manta then, which is golden. Anything else?
Um,
Just a question.
yeah, don't think so. Um, what about this global? Pay two generic. Once per turn, move a die with purchase cost 2 or less from your use pile to your prep area.
It seems expensive.
I mean, it's more expensive than Chalkboard was, but
If there's a die you really need,
and it doesn't have to be the turn you buy it. It could be, after your Guy Gardner goes through unblocked. You can then put him in prep area.
Not that turn. You couldn't. Could you?
No, but I guess it just says once per turn. You could do it on your opponent's turn.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could do that.
So, and then we've got Thanos. Same die that they've been using for Thanos since Age of Ultron, I guess. Sort of weird that it's blue, but I guess it matches the art.
Not keen on that art at all.
This is the second 9 cost in the game. I think that was one of my questions. So yeah. And then these 8 costs, but at least these ones have ways of making themselves cheaper. God, I want to find a way to abuse this double that damage, and it's probably just going to involve getting a lot of fists and using Cone of Cold. And then as long as you can force block, right? Then
Wrecker, Code of Cold.
Yeah.
Many fists. So you can use your Kree Swarm for Swift.
Yeah, there you go, right? So as long as you can buy the 8 cost, maybe you have to like limited wish it or uncommon collector might work or something, right? But you get the 8 cost, and then when he deals overcrush to an opponent, double that damage. So then as long as you can, there's got to be a way to whenever you can double something, it's so abusable. You got to be able to. All right, I'll probably open this one later. I'm just gonna put the dice in. I don't need the cards for that one, so won't bother with that one. I think they've actually done it so you can pull it from the middle here.
So far, I'm liking Justice Like Lightning much more than Kree. Personally.
Oh, I think there's like a few things in the Kree team pack that I really like, but I think my favorite is definitely Justice Like Lightning. And for me, I think it's mostly that I like the flip mechanic, and you're not even that keen on it.
No, I'm not, but I still quite like the character. Don't know, Kree doesn't tickle me at all. I've kind of had enough of the same old Guardian stuff.
These Harley Quinn dice are quite pretty.
All right.
It's the same mold as the Batman ones, but they do look pretty nice. These Joker ones, we've got some Catwoman. I'm not going to put them in here. What am I doing? These are a different universe and everything.
I was wondering.
I just got into the habit there.
There's people at home going, "What are you doing?"
I know. Don't mix the universes. I do like these Poison Ivy ones too. The green with the red there. But I'm kind of a lime green fan in general, I think. And then,
I quite like that Batman die. I didn't really like I didn't like it in white on black, but black on white looks a bit better defined.
Yeah, it's sort of a nice gray. It's kind of a weird symbol. It's like he's got his arms out, but it almost looks like they're horns or something. I don't know. It's the same one they used on the Batman set, but I don't know. They did the same die for Justice League and War of Light, and then they switched it up for World's Finest, and then they switched it up again. So, all right, what do we got here with Harley Quinn? We've got Batman. If you control 2 or more sidekicks, you can field him for free, which is good because they continue to give him a 1/2/3 fielding cost. I don't know why they seem to hate Batman that way, but he's a 7/5 at least on top level. So
yeah, he's got the stats for it, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's true.
It's like a 4 or a 5 cost, and he's got.
I mean,
stats,
they sort of moved away from 1/2/3 fielding costs after a while, but they continue to give it to Batman for some reason. But while your sidekick character dice are attacking, they get +2 attack while Batman is active. That's pretty cool. You got a bunch of 3 attack sidekicks at least. He gets +1/+1 for each sidekick die in the field zone, both players. And if your opponent has a villain, he gets Overcrush. That would be pretty easy to abuse.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So 5 costs, but I think they're pretty interesting. Weird art on the Catwoman, I have to say. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird art
There's
choices
lots
in
of
these
good art for
fashion.
Catwoman, but they picked, yeah, anyway. When fielded, if you have an active non-Catwoman villain, spin her up a level. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, for a 3 cost, I think I'm not too thrilled by that. When fielded, prep a die from your bag. If the prep die is a villain, prep a second die.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I get when fielded prep a die, but like on a 4 cost?
4 cost. Yeah.
I mean, they've done it on Mantis, they did it on Zatanna, but they were 3 cost. This could technically prep 2 dice if you're playing right, but it's just
I
going to be a
almost had
sidekick.
conniptions when I found this card in the team builder, and I had to read all that text.
Oh my gosh.
That's the most text ever, I think.
When fielded, you may
question.
re-roll an active sidekick character die you control. If it rolls an energy face, you may send it die to the use pile to KO target opposing character die with the energy type that matches the type rolled.
I'm sorry, I've switched off.
Yeah, right? So you roll a sidekick, and then whatever energy it comes up as, you could send it to used to KO a character with at least that energy type on it. And I think they've worded it such a way that if it's a crossover character, as long as you get one of the energies, it's fine. If it rolled a question face, you may send it to the use pile to KO any target opposing character die instead.
Yeah. At least the last bit is just reminder text.
So it sounds like...
Oh, no, it's not.
If you roll a sidekick, if it comes up as a sidekick, it just stays in the field. If it comes up as energy, you can either leave that energy in your reserve pool and use it for globals or whatever, or
honestly,
purchasing.
This is more time than she deserves. It takes more time to read than you'll ever spend on choosing.
It's so specific. It's like such a random effect, right? It's like targeted removal, except you don't get to choose. You have like a 1 in 6 chance of, well, I guess a 2 in 6 chance of KOing the right type of thing. I don't know.
Move on.
Yeah. Okay.
I think. Why are there only 2 dead shots?
Because they needed to make space for the basic actions.
I see. Okay. Are the other characters 3, or are they various?
So far, they've all been 3, but there's at least 2 others that are only 2. Yeah, there's only 2 Power Girls and 2 Jokers. So
I'm not gonna miss Power Girl.
So if you look at the pack, right, 24 cards, 16 dice, and well, I've torn it now, but the Harley Quinn one is also 24 cards, 16 dice, and so in order to fit 3 basic actions in, they took out 3 characters. So
yeah, I'm not bothered. It just threw me a bit when I was looking.
Yeah, no, it is a little bit weird. And like, you know, we're not going to use probably any of these Catwomen, so do we really need all 3 of them anyway? So, Deadshot. When Deadshot attacks, if you have 2 or more bolt energy, deal 3 damage target character die. Kind of interesting. When attacks instead of when fielded, and you have to have bolts, but there's lots of reasons that you would save bolts in your reserve pool, and then you can. And it does let you target your own character dice, which is always helpful if you need on-demand KOs. But this one I think is the one. When Deadshot is KO, deal 1 damage to all opposing character dice.
Okay, yeah.
And he's got 1/1/2 defense. You don't even necessarily need anything fancy like Malekith Global. You just ping him off.
Couldn't you use other cards for much the same effect, like Jubilee? Was it uncommon?
Yeah, but Jubilee requires you to specifically bring like the mutation global.
Well, yeah. Okay, sure.
Right?
You still have to KO. It costs 4 and you have to KO him, though, but okay, all right.
Yeah. So, but either you're attacking with a 3/1, 4/1, or 5/2, and they just take the damage, or they block, and I don't know, if you have something like Staff active, and they just lose everything. And the fact that he only deals the damage to opposing character dice means you could use like Danger Room or something and be relatively safe. I don't know.
The timing is off because obviously they could block already, so it's like I would say Jubilee is arguably more useful. But then I'm probably missing combos.
Well, I mean, if you have anyway, so. I'm going to try that one with Staff, I think, at some point. So, Harley Quinn. When fielded, if the Joker is active, prep a die from your bag. Interesting synergy. I don't know how useful it is, but not the first time they've tried to give her Joker synergy on her card, I don't think.
It's not brilliant for a 4 cost in her own team back, is it?
Right?
Oh, it's better if I don't say anything.
When Harley Quinn is active, when you field a non-Harley Quinn villain, each Harley Quinn you control gets +2/+2.
Yeah.
It has got a defensive buff as well. Ben keeps complaining about it, but they keep doing it. So you get Harley Quinn, maybe you get 4 Harley Quinn dice out in the field. Well, I've only got 2, but maybe you get 2 Harley Quinn dice out in the field, right? And then you field a villain. All of them get +2/+2. If you're playing with Uncommon Malekith, you could just keep fielding sidekicks, and then they get real big real fast.
Yep.
Till end of turn, of course.
Fair enough.
When Harley Quinn is KO'd, reroll all active character dice. KO any that roll energy faces. I think someone was mentioning this earlier. I think it was Truby, but just this is nuts, right? Like this is you play in a game when you don't really care whether you win or lose, just to try it out. You get her KO'd and reroll everybody's character, and then see what comes back.
Yeah, I'm sure people will find a use for it. A lot of these leave me a bit cold, to be honest. Like, why would you play that?
But, well, I mean, the randomness is ridiculous in this one. It probably isn't like ever going to be meta relevant, but there's a way you could get around it by using things like Batcave, right? So any of yours that get KO'd could come back the same turn. But yeah, that's a little bit out there. I think it'd be fun just for shenanigans. But all right, Harley's Hyena. Start of your turn, both players draw a die. Place the die with the highest purchase cost into its owner's prep area. Place the other die in its owner's used pile. So possible churn there, but this kind of reminded me of the Harley Bullock in the World's Finest starter, where they always have these like, kind of very random, like if you can guess a specific number of energy, then you get to do damage or something.
They were gamblers cards.
Oh yeah, totally. I kind of want to make like an event where you have to kind of play gamblers cards like that. But all right, when Harley's Hyena attacks, both players draw a die. If the die you draw has a higher purchase cost, this die gets +3 attack and return the die to your bag. If not, place it in your used pile. Your opponent places the die they drew in the used pile.
Again, it's too much text. I switched off after about one sentence.
So at the very least, for every Harley Hyena that attacks, your opponent has to draw a die and put it in their used pile, which isn't nothing, right? I mean, there might be a way in which you get them to put, I don't know, the Ultraman die that they purchased last turn into their used pile, and then they got to cycle through their bag all over again or something. The +3 attack, I mean, it's kind of interesting. It would be a 4/3, 5/4, 6/4 if you got +3 attack. And it's per die, so everyone you attack with would get to do it as well. I don't know how you manipulate things so that you always have the higher purchase cost die.
No idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just have to be able to buy something cheap. I wonder if you put this on like a Jimmy Olsen Superman team, so that you're buying Superman for like 2 or 3 energy, but then when you draw them for this purpose, it's a 6 cost die. And you get it out early. I don't know if that's fast enough. All right. When Harley's Hyena attacks, both players draw a die. The player or players who draw the die with the lowest purchase cost take 2 damage, then return those dice to their bags. Yeah, see, here you go. Someone's taking 2 damage, but it might be you. And it's per die attacking. Gambling. You gotta just, you gotta be a gambler. It's a game about rolling dice, right?
We used to play cards at university, and we would play, instead of money, we would use crisps and biscuits. And we'd play these, but I don't know what they were, sort of betting card games. And I would just, at the beginning, I would just simply eat all my crisps and biscuits because I was happy with what I had. And that's my whole attitude to gambling.
Well, you do play a game where you got to roll dice a lot.
That is true, ironically so. You've seen the results of that.
I know. It's you whinging about rolls a lot until they also all of a sudden line up, and then you just slam Laurier for like 40 damage anyway.
How dare you.
This one I'm really excited about, actually. When Poison Ivy blocks or is blocked by a non-villain, she gains a non-villain character die. She gains Deadly until end of turn. Prevent all damage dealt to Poison Ivy by non-villain character dice. Can you guess why I'm excited about this card?
No, because I seem to have some inability to retain text which is read to me in my head. What does it say? When she blocks or is blocked by non-villain character, she gains Deadly. Prevent all damage. Is it against something overcrushing?
That would help too, actually, yes. But I was mostly thinking about Gold Dragon.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because she's a 3 cost. She's a turn 1 purchase. She's got 0/0/1 fielding cost. Even if she gets blanked, she's got 2, 4, 6 defense. So she probably survives Breath Weapon anyway. But because Gold Dragon isn't a villain, all breath weapon damage would be prevented,
Mm-hmm.
and then she gets to block, doesn't get knocked out because that damage is prevented as well, and she has deadly, and so she KOs Gold Dragon.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually.
I love it. I wish this had come out like 2 months ago so I could have played it in Origins because it would have 100% made my team. And you know for sure that a Navi control team would have used it, and it would have worked out a lot better for those teams.
Yeah, well, it's the equivalent of Zandala, actually.
A little
Effectively,
bit, but it's a villain.
It's a bit better. It's a
Yeah.
bit better because it's
and
a
it has
villain.
better fielding.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty fun. Yeah, and the fact that it gets deadly means it's going to KO Gold Dragon. This is going to possibly shut Gold Dragon teams out. Oh, maybe I'm thinking a little bit too highly of it. Anyway, I like that card. Is this one going to live up to anything else? Well, Poison Ivy is active when an opposing non-villain is KO'd. Its controller loses 1 life. Ooh, that's pretty good too.
So I'm just reading it.
Opposing non-villain is KO'd. So I mean, I tend to think about a lot of teams that involve like a board wipe with staff, but obviously this would be pretty good on a board wipe with staff. You could even bring the Ra's al Ghul global if you needed to make sure that your opponent didn't have villains or something.
So for every die they lose that's not a villain, they lose a life. So.
Yeah, which is we can't prevent it.
Okay. All right. It's much more interesting than Harley's cheaters or whatever they are.
It reminds me of the rare Black Adam, right? Where they either had to take a damage or put it back on the card.
Yeah, that one never really quite worked out.
The thing I never got to try with that Black Adam was using it with Cube.
Oof, yeah, okay. It was a nice combo with that. Is it Batman or something? Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's good. Poison Ivy is nice.
Yeah, so both of those are really, really good. Oh, there's another one too. I thought there was one of the ones that only had 2. Well, Poison Ivy is active when you field a villain, deal a damage to target opponent. Well, it's not so bad.
Oh, I'm reading the wrong one. When you field a villain character, do I deal 1 damage? Yeah, that's all right. But for 4, I prefer the other 2.
No. I do kind of like the idea of combining this with the Retaliation Black Mana, so you get them coming or going. You field a bunch of villains and deal 1 damage for each, and then you KO a villain and then deal them a bunch of damage for that too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just like the fun of that. I don't think it's probably any better than just doing Black Mana by itself, but I also do like the art on this Poison Ivy. So of all the things I like about Poison Ivy, the art is definitely one of them. That's Katana.
No tokens, is it?
No tokens. No. All right, Power Girl. Only 2 Power Girls and 2 Jokers because we got the basic actions here. Well, Power Girl is active if you control at least 1 active villain. At the end of your main step, roll an unpurchased basic action die. If it rolls an energy face, Power Girl cannot attack. If it rolls an action face, Power Girl goes +2/+2. Return the unpurchased basic action to its card.
That's just lame. It's like you get to the end of the text and you think, why did I read all of that?
Oh my gosh.
It's not worth it for the cost, and it's not worth it for the amount of words they've used to describe it. I'm sorry.
So it's a 5 cost, right? So maybe they're thinking that like this is like her downside for her being cheap. Weren't there like 6 cost Power Girls in the
They're where?
in the World's Finest starter? So she's cheaper than the other Power Girls, but then she has a thing where if you're playing with any villains, and let's be honest, like these days you're gonna be playing with a villain, even if it's just Shriek or Scarlet Witch or something. Then if you have any villains, you have to do this. And she either gets +2/+2, which, to be fair, does make her a 6/6, 7/7, 8/8. But then otherwise she just can't attack.
The art is okay.
It's all right, yeah. When I did like Harley Quinn and Power Girl in her comic strip, or her comics. When fielded, gain 1 life for each opposing non-sidekick character.
Well, life gain's always powerful, but it does cost 6, and it has to be fielded. And I suppose the defense is
non-sidekick is fair. I'm glad it's not like non-sidekick, non-villain. You know, like some kind of other contingency, but it's not too bad. How often are you going to field her though? Right? That's the.
Yeah.
I hate when fielded's with like giant characters.
I personally would be dead before I ever managed to get her in the field.
Yeah, right. All right. The Joker, when fielded, if Harley Quinn is active, prep a die. So more of that Harley Quinn Joker synergy. Weird that they made them synergistic, but didn't give them the Suicide Squad affiliation, despite that having been in the movie.
Ooh, that could be Yeah, comic thing. I have no idea.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I'm a Marvel man.
Yeah, it just seems. I mean, people will play that just for the fun of it. You go to a theme night and you want to play your Harley Quinn Joker combo because it's kind of a fun combo, right? Um, when fielded, choose an energy type, replacing all previous choices while the Joker is active. When an opponent fields a character die of that energy type, deal a damage to that opponent.
I'm sorry. Right. I don't know. I don't want to be negative again, but like look at previous Jokers and how useful they were.
Yeah,
It was the original sort of control. You name was it you name a die and they can't bloody feel that die. That's like a really good thing for the same cost.
yeah,
And then you get this. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Meh.
it's like they can do it. It's gonna deal them one damage is not that big of a deal, especially if it's a character that like they only need to field once or twice in the whole game.
Um
Although
I'm
maybe the only thing I could see that would be like super good about this is that we talked about it in the DM Armada video that like fists are probably going to be a big thing, especially with a lot of the aggro stuff coming out. And so potentially, if you're playing against somebody who's playing an aggro team with a lot of fist characters, like this could add up to a bunch of damage. But then is it worth the 5 cost instead of just getting like Bishop out or something instead? I don't know.
I'm aware I'm being slightly negative. Okay, in isolation, that's probably all right. But I cannot help but, compare it to old Jokers. And
No,
Joker
yeah,
just getting worse as time goes by. The original set, I just pulled up, it was the original blob, basically. When fielded, choose an opponent's character card, cancelling all previous choices. Your opponent cannot field that character while the Joker is active, which is not even as good as blob for 4, and
true.
it's still a lot better than that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anytime you're going to do someone damage for doing something, they'll probably just take the damage, right? Especially if they don't have to do it more than a couple times a game.
Yeah.
Kind of like that Jinzo, right? Jinzo, they had to pay 2 life to use a global. But like, if you really need to use the global, you just pay the 2. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't prevent you from
I've,
doing it.
I've killed myself on Jinzo. Um,
maybe I'm
Jinzo,
being too
something
harsh on
else.
Jinzo. Like something just prevents you from using globals would still be better though. All right, relaxing is a reprint from the War of Light sets. I don't think they got I don't think I got a lot of play. I remember hearing about it on the Double Burst podcast, and so I started trying it out. And the store I went to, they were like, no one had ever played it, and so I had to like explain how to use it to them every time. But you draw a die and you roll it, and then you get to name a die and draw a second die. If the second die is the one that you name, so you obviously look in your bag ahead of time and then you shake it up. Then you get to draw a third die and roll the second and third dice.
Just listening to you say it, I could quite understand how they didn't understand it.
Well, this
Um,
is this is the better worded version too. The old
yeah,
one
yeah.
the old one never said roll anywhere on it. So it was just like, what do you do with all the dice that you draw?
That was
Uh,
the origin of the if it doesn't specify, then you
yeah,
just roll.
exactly. Yeah. Anyway, if the second die, if you name it incorrectly, you put it in your use pile. So basically, it's a 4 cost action. You definitely get to draw and roll 1 die. You might get to draw and roll 3 dice. And if you get the double burst, then even if you name the second die incorrectly, you get to roll it and put it in reserve. So on a double burst, it's a guaranteed 2 dice, like investigation. So investigation is 3 for a guaranteed 2. This is 4 for between 1 and 3 dice. But in a
And if you've
draft,
got
I remember using it. It worked out okay.
uncommon spot, then it becomes between 2 and 6 dice, which is
That's
pretty
true. Yeah. So
good.
anyway, back in modern, target lock, continuous. Place it on an opposing character. Each time your opponent draws that card's die during their clear and draw step, they send it to the used, and you prep a die. And then at the end of their clear and draw, send target lock to the use pile. So it only works for 1 clear and draw step on your opponent. But if you know for sure that they're going to draw something that you don't want them to play,
Yeah.
then you can prevent them from even getting it, and you get to prep a die if they do. That's pretty cool.
That's the first wall of text in this pack that I think has been worth it.
I think it's
We'll go
pretty
for that.
interesting, right? It kind of reminds me of the effects like Lockjaw and like Hellblazer, where you had to kind of pay attention to what your opponent was going to draw on the next turn.
Mhm. Yeah,
And obviously, those ones you could leave in the field and activate every turn, whereas this one you have to get it the turn before they're going to draw the thing. So I can't see this being that useful outside of like having Rip Hunter's chalkboard or something, or a way of prepping action dice so that you know when they're, you know what I mean?
it could be early control.
Yeah,
It could be one of your first 2 purchases, then resurrect, and you're trying to stop them getting something in the field.
yeah.
Maybe.
And I mean, it's continuous, but it's not continuous in that it's in your field until you're ready to activate it. It's as soon as you play it, you put it on their character die. So.
But they go to use, don't they? I mean, that's pretty. I reckon there's potential there.
Yeah,
Possibly.
I mean, you imagine if
It
you can get this turn 1 or 2, and then you get it out into the field turn 3. Maybe the thing that they bought first turn doesn't come out of their bag right away, right? That could shut them down a couple turns.
Yeah,
You
if you
know?
go first with this and use it, I don't know whether it's worth buying instead of Shriek, but it's the same cost as Shriek. Don't need a specific energy for it, and you could screw someone over with it quite
Yeah.
nicely.
Well, and you could keep using it the rest of the game, right? But I mean,
Yeah.
we've all had like I've had games where I'm playing Mimic Ramp and Mimic doesn't roll the first time, and now I feel like I'm 2 turns behind, right? But imagine that instead you just didn't even get a chance to roll it, and it just went right to your use pile instead. Right? That would put you pretty far behind too, I think.
My Mimic invariably does that anyway, but so I'd be basically immune to its effects. But yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I could see that being interesting. Thrown Brick. Deal 1 damage to target character die. If that character die is not KO'd, prep a die from your bag and add this die to your prep area.
I like it.
It's like the
It's
opposite of
best.
tracking grasp, right?
It's the converse rather than the opposite. But yes,
Yeah. So
it's the card
instead
I
of
like most from the whole set. Not necessarily because it's the best, but I just like it.
thrown brick. Yeah, just a 2 cost. You throw a brick at somebody, it deals them a damage. If it doesn't KO them, you get to prep 2 dice.
It's a great name. It costs 2. It's nice art. It's the converse of an existing card, which I already like. It's a useful effect. It's just great. I like that.
If you use Cosmic
Positive.
Cube, it's 3 damage.
Yeah. Like it.
So you deal a damage. If a character die is not KO'd, you basically get 2 dice to prep. So it's like you don't want to KO the character because then it becomes a 2 energy prep 2 dice card. But then I don't know. Is the 1 damage even useful at that point?
Subsequently KO with something else.
That's true. I mean, yeah, definitely. But anyway, I'll experiment with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't care if I can use it. I just like that.
No,
one.
I know.
It's not
Yeah,
often I say
it's
that.
just fun. All right. So that's all the new stuff. I do hate. I have to say this. I know that people complain about the max dice thing or whatever, and I'm not going to get into it. But one thing that has continued to bug me from the very beginning is that Dice Masters continually puts max 4 and then makes their spacing 5 across. That drives me more crazy, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just why? Anyway, so Zenbins does it too, to be fair. They make them 10 across, which doesn't divide evenly by 4 either.
I've been trying for 6 months to get somebody to make me inserts for these collectors things. Laser cut wouldn't. This is an idea for you, Zack.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, he still hasn't done it. I'm starting to get really frustrated. I need to sort out my dice. You could just remove all the nasty plastic, and put trays in there because you put your cards somewhere else, right? I put my cards in albums. I need dice storage.
Yeah.
So you can fit 3 levels of sort of laser cut wooden dice storage in there. You can fit about 1,000 dice in a box. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen, Zack.
I could see it.
So, did you want to see if they fit? You wanted to.
Yeah, I wanted to see. I don't want to on camera make everybody watch me sort all of these dice out, but it looks like
just pour them in like on Dice Tower.
Okay, all right. So, and I think this picture came out, so you should be able to do it pretty easily, right? So even if you had, well, maybe not. So here's Avengers Infinity, which doesn't quite all fit into one side here. So you have to kind of go over here as well.
You know the beginning of Dice Tower when they pour the contents of the box onto the table?
Yeah, that drives me a little crazy. I wouldn't want to clean
it
up.
Yeah, do they do that to troll people? Because me and my daughter just sit there going, no, don't do that. And they do it every time.
But he makes his kids clean up after it, so. Okay, so it looks like with the 3 dice per character included, Avengers Infinity sort of takes up more than one of these. And then I'm going to have an extra 2 dice per character here. So I think it'll just fit. And I'll try it off camera here, and maybe we'll start off the next bit here. But I would imagine it's going to get a little bit tight with the
15, 19, 23 space, 25 spaces.
25 spaces. But if I were to get well, then I can't actually, right? So then if I had another one of these, that would be 16 more. And then if I got another one of these, it'd be 16 more. That'd be 32. So I'd actually be 7 dice over.
Well, that's what Laurier said.
Plus, I would need one more for each of these, so that'd be another 16. So, yes, you actually can't fit the team packs and the campaign box all in here. I guess you've got this big pocket for it, which is not the same size as the cards, so you could put stuff in there.
Fair, you can't fit, like, if you buy 2 team packs, but you don't have to do that.
No, you don't have to buy 2. I mean, obviously, right, if you buy one of each, this is how it looks right here, right? So it all fits in there. And, you know, besides this one, which I specifically bought 2 of because of like the aggro characters and the fabricate character and stuff, you don't really necessarily need all of them. Although I may regret that with Ant-Man. We'll talk about later. Yeah, I don't know. It does seem a bit. I mean, like this fit nicely when they had like the the bag that had everything in there, right? And then this when they had these things down there. But then afterwards, like, I mean, I guess if I want to bring these with me because I want to play people out of the stuff in here. What is this even used for? What do I use that?
This chunk of nasty plastic needs to come out and be replaced with nice laser cut wood.
Yeah, well, maybe that'll be another one of my summer projects here. All right, so that is the opening. Hopefully, you got a good sense for what everything looks like and what all comes in all the packages. All of that stuff should be available in the U.S. and I heard Canada as of August 1st. So if your local store doesn't have it, ask them and they'll probably order it for you. I know that Cool Stuff Inc. is already sold out, and I would imagine that it would be hard to find online because WizKids tends to not ship as many things to online retailers. Yeah. If you see anything that you like, it's pretty easy to pick up because none of this is blind anymore. So you can get whatever whatever's on the package. Any other final thoughts on the opening there?
I enjoyed that. Thank you very much for waiting. There are some good things there. There's a lot of chaff, but that's always the case. And if I talk about comparing things to previous sets, just ignore me if you're a new player. There's some fun stuff that you can play with there, and even for established players, there's some useful cards.
Oh yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell that like one of the reasons why they're reprinting basic actions is because they're reprinting ramp basic actions, and so if this is the first set that you pick up, here are a couple of ways in which you can try and get to those 6-cost characters that have pretty decent abilities, right? But would be hard to buy otherwise. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, the chaff thing. I think like I could find some Beta Ray Bills and Ronan the Accusers in my binder over there that came from blind product that I'm never going to use.
Without a doubt. So what we're looking at, Poison Ivy, Thrown Brick, that would be my favourites from there, and Ant-Man, obviously.
Yeah, I want to try that Deadshot. Looking at some of these meteorites. I want to try the Krees out. I may find a time to try out some of these Thanoses just because they seem fun.
Oh, the Techno looks fun.
Yeah, a lot of that Justice League Lightning stuff is fun. The Black Widow that we've talked about already.
And the Thousand Island Global.
Thousand Island Global, yeah. I mean, I may give a shout out to Ben and Steven. I might try the 7-cost Doctor Strange that lets you duplicate actions even when your opponent uses them. You can probably find a way to bring something tempting like investigation or something, and then get your opponent to help you ramp on their turn.
Yep, there's stuff there.
Yeah, for sure. All right. That will do it for us. We're going to reset and start talking about some teams.
All right. Bye-bye.